One of my subscribers wants me to do more left-wing analysis of the environment, and I'm sort of loath to do so because, which reminds me, if you are ever the victim of a union brokered workplace agreement, if you haven't been balloted, go to an ambulance chasing lawyer and sue them, the union that is. Despite that, there are marks in the landscape that show us, that talk to us of class warfare. One of those marks is old ruined churches that don't have a congregation. And one of the reasons for that is that the people were replaced by machines. Now that's not a conspiracy theory. In the 18th century, all of this landscape would have full of people ploughing, mowing, tending to sheep, minding their own business. And then along came threshing machines and combine harvesters and all the rest of them. And now the landscape doesn't need people anymore. It just needs the farmer and his tractor. I've got nothing against farmers. I've got a lot of sympathy for them. They've got to earn a living. The landscape is meant to be ploughed. It's there. It should feed us. It needs to feed us. We need to be fed, and we shouldn't be relying on the third world to ship their corn to us while they're starving, when we can grow it ourselves. And besides, all of this happened 200 or more years ago. There's some very interesting stuff about the swing rebellions and you know, all sorts of interesting, there's an interesting story quite close to home for me. Well, several in fact, of people standing up for their living against a machine that was chewing them up. But I don't know for sure that's the situation with this church here. I mean, there's a farmhouse over there. It is the case for many churches. You'll see a church next to a farmhouse and wonder why it's dead. And the reason it's dead is because it no longer has a congregation. They were all surplus to requirement, and in the 18th and 19th century moved to the cities to bleed themselves dry for a different kind of machine, the factory system. But you don't watch my videos for class war. This church here, Nolton, is a Norman church that was updated in the 14th century. It's quite a pretty church. I like it a lot. But what's interesting about it, and it's not unique, is it is slap bang in the middle of a prehistoric earthwork. And we know from, I can't remember which pope it was, he sent a missive to, when they were converting the pagans in this country, he sent a missive saying, use their temples, throw out their idols. Was it Gregory? It might have been Pope Gregory. Use their temples, chuck out their idols, but place churches where the old temples were. And this is what's happened here. This is a Neolithic henge monument, and we know it's a henge because it's a ditch and bank, but unlike a defensive ditch and bank, the ditch is on the inside, as if it's defending the outside world, the rest of the world, against what's inside it. Looking at it with an art history background, that's how I would interpret it. There was something that needs containing, or you know, on pure practical grounds, it could be like a stadium. These could be like bleachers, and then and then you've got the ceremonies on the other side. But it does make for a picturesque view. It's one of the finest ruined churches you will see, and speaks to us of continuity, which is my thing, showing that an element of British culture, a thread of British culture survived from the Bronze Age onwards, and this is late Neolithic. So, you know, there could have been a huge gap between, you know, we don't know the Bronze Age and the Iron Age used this, but when the Normans came along, this was being put to a different use. And new people came and said, You know, this is our landscape now with our customs, but they're placing themselves, even if it is with derision. They can't be frightened of this place to plant their church in it, but they were stamping their authority on it, saying this landscape is ours, and we're part of it. We're part of that thread that goes back to the Neolithic.
That all important context. Nolton is a prehistoric, a Neolithic set of rings that are very close to the River Allen. It is part of a wider prehistoric landscape. During the Bronze Age, round barrows, quite a large number of round barrows approach Knowlton from the south along the River Allen. Bournemouth University considers the river significant in the placing of these monuments. It would have been nice to have considered also the road, as the road passes through one of the Knowlton rings. They make the point that there don't seem to be any barrows on the western side of the river, and make the point that perhaps this is some sort of territorial boundary or some other significant reason, some other perhaps religious boundary. Nolton means it's an English word. The Neolithic was more than 3,000 years before the English got here. Nolton means the farm, the estate on the knoll, the knoll, the knoll in Old English.